Kia ora, welcome to the very first episode of the Noisy Librarian Podcast, brought to you by Te Mata Puna Library and Learning Services. I'm Rachel, your host for today's episode, and I'm here with...
Amy,
Emma,
Claire.
So today we're going to be talking about how it's absolutely no secret that libraries have really had to adapt in recent years, especially universities. You know, long gone are the days of stuffy spaces, completely silent study and stacks upon stacks of books. So actually this group here, we're going to talk about how our libraries are set up, how we work and what we can offer you while we're studying at AUT. But before we get into that good stuff, welcome. How are we feeling today doing our first episode? Feeling good?
Good.
So thumbs up in the room. That's good stuff.
Good so far.
Good stuff. So I think one of the things I'll do just to get us thinking about libraries, does anybody have any core memories of a library from when they were young?
Oh, so many.
So many?
So many. I was a library kid from way back.
Oh, yeah?
It was my home away from home.
Oh, that's lovely.
My parents were really passionate readers. There were books in the house, books in our bedrooms. There were even books in the car in case we got bored on long trips. We were fortunate enough to be able to be members of 2 public libraries. We also had the school libraries, so I just had access to so many great resources, books, records, games, so many things, and it was just a wonderful place to be. It felt like the libraries felt as though they were very embedded in the communities.
I have 2 really cool memories of being in libraries when I was young, and one was the kind of community library or family library, and I remember being quite young and getting my card and taking so many books, and it was just such a nice place of discovery. I remember reading, Jekyll and Hyde, and alongside other crazy stuff that I'd never heard of before, but just kind of getting books upon books out. But I do also remember my school library and reading books that were way too old for me.
Yes.
My first Stephen King novel was from the school library. I think I was 12. And obviously that's very horror, and I think it was Bag of Bones. So that's kind of out there for a 12-year-old, but I loved it, and I've read so many Stephen King books since then.
my first memory of our Taupo Public Library were the seats. I loved the seats. Little wooden chairs that were just the right size for a 4-year-old.
That's so cute.
I went on to sleep in libraries, so maybe I am about library furniture.
Sleeping in libraries, that's another thing. I guess we're obviously here in Te Mata Puna. We're actually at City Campus recording this today. So we have 3 libraries across our 3 campuses in City, North and South. But has anybody seen any students sleeping ever?
Yes.
We've got...
Absolutely.
Really? So we've got beanbag chairs, we've got little corners.
Yeah, all the time.
Generally it's fine, except for that... obviously, occasionally we have to wake them up if they're snoring loudly.
Disturbing other people.
And or just if they've been there for a long time and they're not moving, just check that they're all right.
That's a good call.
So sleeping in libraries, yes, fine to do. But if we come and wake you up, there's a reason why. We're just trying to see that you're alive, and if you are a snorer, possibly find a more secluded space.
Yeah, we're your librarians. We care about you. We want to make sure that you're doing okay. But probably a good place for a power nap in between your studies, Yeah, why not? Why not?
It can be a sign of how at home the students can feel in the library, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, I think it's, a home away from home for other people now. Not me, but... well, actually, no. I like living here as well.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting when we're going way off on a tangent now already, but actually when you think about student accommodation and things of that nature in terms of that available study space, then actually some students will probably view the library as a bit of a home away from home, somewhere they can go and have focus time and kind of separate that study and kind of home space.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite positive.
That's good.
Or for that matter, meet up with friends, because, you can't fit all of your friends in a campus room.
That's true, yeah. I remember my dorm room, for want of a better phrase, and it was small. So, yeah, you can't even get 2 people in there to do a study group. So, and in fact, it's a good little segue onto some of the things that we do offer here, because I guess we have some gorgeous spaces across all 3 campus libraries. Obviously, we're here in City. We have level 3, which has got our lovely kind of open seating spaces. You can move things around, beanbag chairs, but we also have things like group study spaces that I think they're pretty well utilised, aren't they, for kind of small groups?
They're really well used, I think,
Yeah.
especially at North and South Campus, but also City Campus.
Yep, it's a good thing to get in early if you want a study space. Book in advance because they fill up really, really quickly at all 3 campuses.
And there are limits on the walking times too. Each session is only for 2 hours, and the spaces are shared, so people do need to be aware that they will be taking turns.
I guess 2 hours, that's solid core focus time. It's a good motivator, actually.
Yeah, and you can see people are very motivated. I mean, the rooms aren't soundproofed, although you can't hear what people are saying word for word. There's a wonderful sort of enthusiasm in the conversation. They're very lively. There's a lot of laughter and talk. So, yeah, fantastic spaces.
And I think that's great because I think the libraries here at AUT are, unique in the way that we have a space that will tailor to anybody's study style. If you would like to study by yourself in silence, you can come do that. If you want to kind of not run amok, but if you want to have a more lively space or interactions with your classmates, then you can do that too. So I think we're pretty well set up for that.
Yep, you can bring in a cup of coffee, a cup of something else.
Can you do that at any level of the library?
You can do that at
pretty
any level
much,
of the library.
yeah.
Just, covered containers, ideally, because we don't want you to trip and fall and have it everywhere. And likewise, you can bring in cold food. We don't do the hot food thing because it's really distracting if you're trying to study and somebody else has got hot chips just over the way. It's just impossible.
And it is not just us just putting this rule for nothing. We do get feedback from our customers
Absolutely.
that they find the smell of some hot food, strong smells, really unpleasant. We want to keep the library as fresh as we possibly can for everyone to use.
Yeah, welcoming for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the key message there, no hot food or else our librarians will be coming for you. And in fact, you will see librarians present in the library. And again, I think reflecting on my childhood, it's the kind of the one person behind the desk. You take your books and, that's the only interaction. Whereas actually our librarians are very present across our spaces to kind of help out at the help desk. We also have our workshops that run in certain spaces in the library. So I think that's pretty cool that, we have librarians that are visible and present.
One of the things we do in the first few weeks of semesters, particularly at Waihoretiu City Campus, is that we will have staff actually out the front next to the help desk, and they're looking out for people who might look a bit lost or a bit uncertain, sort of looking around them bewildered, because this is all new to them and they haven't found a way to navigate around it yet. So we try to make sure there's somebody on hand to help people out.
Yeah, because people don't even realise necessarily coming in that there's more than one floor. Why would you? So they walk in and they go, hey, where are the books?
Where's level 3?
And so, it's nice to be able to be out there and actually be actively wandering around rather than waiting for people to approach the desk, the scary front desk, which you only do in extremis if you really, really can't find one.
So it's a good icebreaker as well, I tell you. So,
we want to help, that's what we're here for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you make an excellent point about the difference between Waihoretiu and Akoranga and Manukos. That's your city north and south campuses. Actually, the layouts of the libraries are quite different. So depending on your experiences, you might not know your way around. So it's good to have a helpful, friendly face. Or in some cases, a librarian dressed as a zombie. We did that during orientation, didn't we, Claire?
Yeah, no, I thought that was a brilliant idea. This came from library staff. It was their inspiration, and I think it was a fantastic way of bringing in a lighter note into the beginning of semester 1, because we were kind of like coming in on that on the heels of, the flooding in Auckland, which had hit a lot of people very hard. It had brought morale down quite a bit. And, those things are nothing to laugh about, but sometimes giving people a safe way to laugh at something. And what's more laughable than a zombie librarian? I mean, I was scared, I wanted to run. But, I think it brought a bit of surprise and a bit of delight for people to just sort of ease things up a bit. And one of the things that we are quite keen on is finding ways to be creative in our interactions with our customers. We're really keen on opportunities to do things like that. So watch this space very carefully.
Yeah, we love a project, don't we, librarians? But I think, orientation week was fab, and during O week, we had people looking at the zombies and kind of, gasping. And actually someone came up and said, what society are you? I was like, hey, we're not a society, we're the library. We are this cool that we're kind of running around dressed as zombies. So, hats off to that team for their amazing
And it shows
ideas.
we can be very inclusive. We welcome even the undead.
Absolutely, yeah. Undead, you might end up feeling undead if you've been studying for so many hours. I mean, I guess one thing to be clear on is that we're not open 24 hours. I know some university libraries are. I think back in my student days, the University of Warwick Library was open for 24 hours at some point, but that's a killer for everybody involved, I think.
You do need some time off as well, from studying and
it's, sleep is actually really, really important and good for you. So at a certain point in the evening, we do say, now go home, get some rest, come back tomorrow, we'll still be here.
Yeah, and people do. I think I've heard from various librarians that people, they say goodbye to the students in the evening, and when we're opening up, same students are ready at the door to come back in. And I guess to have that welcoming space for them is wonderful. But yeah, there is a need for sleep and good food and exercise and other things to succeed at your studies. All right, I think one other thing we'll move on to, and I think seeing as we're kind of introducing the library in our spaces, let's talk about Te Mata Puna. You would have heard me say that right at the beginning and as part of our intro. And it's interesting to gauge how many of our students actually understand what Te Mata Puna means. We were formerly AUT Library, or AUT Libraries, but actually last year we were gifted the name by the Māori Advancement Office and others. And Te Mata Puna translates to the wellspring. And this is a beautiful kind of connection between our physical spaces and Tamaki Makaurau, and it speaks to the underground waterways and our connection with them. And from a sort of academic point of view, like water, knowledge is essential for life and for growth. And we kind of see ourselves as the kind of hub of nurturing that knowledge and helping the students grow. So actually it's a really lovely name, I think, but I think we do have some challenges about making it more present amongst the students and kind of honouring the normalising of using te reo in our spaces.
It was something we discussed recently because we needed to bring the page on the website which contained the information about each of the three campus libraries up to date, and we felt Te Mata Puna the name is inspired by the various underground springs and rivers that flow beneath Tamaki Makaurau, Auckland, which was a wonderful thing that I hadn't known very much about until we were gifted the name. And as you say, it's the library is a spring or a source of knowledge, but it's also the importance of information flowing freely from many different sources, and people should be able to access that as easily and as freely as possible. So because we have our three locations, what we wanted to do was to become accustomed to refer it to incorporating the name and the unique name of each location. So Te Mata Puna ki Akoranga is Te Mata Puna Library Learning Services at Akoranga, the North Shore campus, ki Baukau at the South Campus, and ki Waihoratu at the City Campus. Now at Manukau and Akoranga, the students are really well accustomed and socialised with those names, not so much at City. So we've sort of had to structure that information in such a way that people are very clear about it. They're also becoming accustomed to the fact that we now have a proper name. And I think that will be the work of time, but I think sort of like taking opportunities to introduce and reintroduce the names over time, that will become a natural thing for everybody, and all the students will know very clearly who and what Te Mata Puna is.
And that's much lovelier than City Help Desk.
Yes, yeah.
I think one other interesting thing that you were alluding to just there, Claire, about kind of knowledge from a lot of different sources, I think it's well worth noting and kind of putting it out there that we are definitely more than just stacks of books these days. I think a lot of libraries have had to become a little bit more agile in their offering, community libraries as well as university libraries. And I think, you mentioned our website, and in fact our digital resources are leading as terms of a university to library. So we're really fortunate that we have those kind of search resources, but we also have your library on campus. So that's a great study resource now. So we've shifted some content from the website over to your library on campus, and this just makes it much easier for the students to find, workshop details and guidance on, APA referencing, academic writing, all that kind of fun stuff. So it's not just a case of you walk into a library with us and you just get the books and you go out again. We actually want to help you succeed in every aspect of your study.
Yeah, so like writing, and academic writing is a huge part of academic study and success, and it's not necessarily taught in your subject courses. It's something that you kind of often just meant to know how to do. So reflect on something. Oh, I'll just go and write a beautiful reflection, a reflective essay or whatever. And that's where your library on campus comes in for the writing help. And also, as you said, Rachel, well, I think most of our resources are electronic now. So most of our journal articles, all of our journal articles literally are online. So you have to find them somehow through the website, which is our online interface. And that does take some skill to get the right things, the things that are useful to you and on topic.
And perhaps learning that while it looks very similar to Google, it doesn't work exactly the same way. There's a couple of nice, easy tips and tricks which I think are on the Canvas page in terms of what to find, where to find it, how to search. It's worth just having a look-see and or asking one of the library staff, because we should be able to help and hopefully not make it even more confusing.
Yeah, I think the amount of resources can be overwhelming, especially if you're kind of trawling online for the journals and the resources that you might need there. So in fact, any students listening, we do Beyond Google 1 and Beyond Google 2 workshops and other information literacies. So come and see us on our website for those. But I remember when I was a student, there was some online resources, but not many. I'm not going to say how long ago this was. But actually, I think in one module, I studied film, there was one book for 30 of us. And you have to you're fighting over these resources, and everyone's got to, produce the essays and whatnot. So in fact, I think, being a leader in digitizing a lot of these things, we're actually opening up the resource for our students in a bigger way, in a way that everybody can kind of benefit from.
Yeah, so in your Canvas courses now, that one book that you all fought over as film students,
it got ugly.
The essential chapters will be digitised so that they'll be connected to the actual course that you're doing in your essential course readings. So that's a really great, helpful starting point for actually getting some of the correct readings that you need for your course. Yeah. And
there are still some physical books. We often keep the high demand books in short loan. Usually they're either 2-hour or 3-day loans, depending. Some people do prefer, reading old style from a book as opposed to online. So it's nice where we can to have the availability of both. It's not always possible because a lot of books now you can't even buy physical copies of. So you better learn how to find them on the library website.
And some books can be very expensive, in terms of students purchasing books.
Much so.
And it's cost of living crisis, things going on. People can't afford to buy your own personal copy of things. It's just not feasible. Back in my day, maybe it was, but these days it's not feasible to go and buy your whole course for the year, all your textbooks. That era is gone.
Definitely. And it's alarming too to see sometimes how quickly information can date. You might have bought in your first year a textbook that's been out for like 3 or 4 years, only to find that the next edition comes out 6 months later, and it must be very dispiriting when that happens. But it does happen because information has to keep being renewed and updated.
We certainly live in an information world.
Yeah, that's true, and we're lucky that we have so many resources available online in this way, so that can be found on our website. Another exciting thing that can be found on our website is library chat. So we're not only digital in terms of our resources, but we're digital in terms of our customer service, which is tip-top, in my opinion.
Library Chat's also on campus as well.
Oh, is
It's
it?
a little
Yeah.
bit hard to find, but it's a little speech bubble icon, and you can click it and you get through to Library Chat.
And Library Chat are actually not robots.
People.
Yeah.
There's a human being on the other end of the line.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's actually refreshing these days. I mean, I was only on a chat with an airline for something or other, and it's a bot, and I'm not getting anywhere. And it's just so frustrating. They try to kind of market it as a simple option, but then actually, if you're dealing with a non-human, it's not really ever that simple. So yeah, in fact, that we've got humans on the other end is ideal.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really good.
If it's me on there, you can usually tell because I'm the one that can't spell.
I think we all have that problem, Amy.
Oh, yes.
On the chat, so there's constant slips of the keyboard, and you just sort of you only go back and correct the ones that are really important because the person you're talking to is live. You know, they're waiting for you on the other end of the line. But it's a really good service, and it's still very popular with our students, running it from 9 a.m. in the morning until 8 p.m. in the evening, Monday to Friday, and we're usually running it from 11 to 5 on Saturdays and Sundays. Another good thing to note is that we are open evenings and weekends.
It's good.
To give as much
It's really
flexibility
good.
to people. Yeah. Quite a few of our students, I'd say probably the majority of our students are working. And postgraduate students in particular will have 9 to 5 jobs. There'll be students with families who've got to pick up their kids from school after work. They won't have time to come in of an evening, but hopefully they can come in on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, I think the libraries really are a community hub, as it were. So, we do have students that are coming from all walks of life with all different types of situations and scenarios. So I guess with our great opening hours and things like that, we try to cater. We've got other resources like, I guess I would call it whānau room. Is it parents' room?
Yes, yeah. At each of the campus libraries there is a dedicated whānau room, and we've usually got some games and books for the tamariki to entertain themselves with.
It's so fun. And as I say, it's something that can help our students succeed. I think at AUT, one of our core values is student success and creating great graduates. Not to use the kind of party line, but I think our staff and our mission at Te Mātapuna Library Learning Services is to really play into that goal.
Yeah, and making it an enjoyable thing as well. Make learning as enjoyable as possible and studying.
And the whole process of finding and reviewing, analysing and evaluating information, that stays with people for the rest of their lives, hopefully. And I think in this age when people have got so much information coming at them, that's more important than ever.
Yeah, I think it's a big life skill, something they can take away and have forever.
Valuable.
Very much so. Yeah. Okay, well I think we're just all about done here, so I'm going to wrap us up, but thank you guys for joining me today, and we're looking forward to moving on to future episodes. So thanks very much for listening. So you can find us on Podbean and Apple and Google Podcasts, and you can also follow Te Mātapuna Library Learning Services on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. See you next time. Yay! We did it! How are you feeling, Amy?